The Thompson family lived in Santa Fe, New Mexico, where they shared a deep love for nature and wildlife. Every summer, they made it a point to travel somewhere with wide, untamed natural landscapes. This summer, they chose a destination farther than usual, the Finda Private Game Reserve in South Africa. They planned to stay for a whole month. John Thompson, his wife Laura, and their 6-year-old daughter Ellie were all incredibly excited about the trip. When they arrived, the rangers at the reserve gave them a warm welcome and a brief introduction to the vast land they were about to explore. Their lodging was a cozy wooden house right on the edge of the forest. It had all the essentials: electricity, water, and a modern kitchen, so they could enjoy nature without giving up comfort. They spent the first day walking around the camp's grounds, meeting friendly staff and learning more about the local animals. Ellie was especially thrilled when she spotted real lion footprints on the dirt path that led to their camp. That first night, they all sat around the fire under a sky full of stars, listening to rangers share heartfelt stories about animal rescues. As John sat there, taking it all in, he had a strange but warm feeling, like something special was waiting for them on this trip. The next morning, after a simple breakfast, John stood at the sink washing dishes. Sunlight streamed in through the wooden window frame. Suddenly, something outside the window caught his eye and startled him. There, just a few feet away, stood a lioness, her body covered in mud. She wasn't growling. Instead, she let out a soft whimper, and her eyes, full of something like pleading, made John instinctively step back, his heart pounding. He shouted for Laura and Ellie. They came running, then froze in place at the sight of the lioness, standing calmly just beyond the porch. Laura quickly handed the phone to John. His hands trembled as he dialed the conservation center, his voice stuttering while he explained the situation. While they waited, John locked all the doors, never taking his eyes off the lioness. But the lioness didn't act aggressively. She simply sat down outside, bowing her head every now and then, her gaze fixed on the sink, as if she were waiting. Ellie, peeking from behind her mother, whispered, "Does the lion need help?" John gave a small nod, his fear slowly giving way to concern, and something like empathy. Then, they all heard the sound of a car approaching. Relief washed over them. 2 rangers stepped out, carrying rifles and medical kits. As they came closer, their faces softened. They recognized the lioness immediately. She was a familiar presence around the reserve during breeding season. One ranger walked over and gently patted the lioness's head to calm her. She leaned into the touch, and then the ranger turned to the family inside and gave them a reassuring smile. The lioness looked toward the forest, then back at the group, as if beckoning them to follow. She took a few steps forward, stopped, and waited. After a brief discussion, one ranger turned to John and said, "If you want to experience something truly special, come with us." John hesitated. Then he turned to Laura and Ellie, telling them to stay safe in the house. He took a deep breath and agreed to go. The group followed the lioness across a wide stretch of grassy plain. The early morning air was cool, filled with birdsong. The lioness led the way slowly, pausing every so often to glance back, checking to see if they were still with her. After about half a kilometer, they heard something faint, an unsteady, weak cry coming from ahead. Near a large mud puddle, a ranger ran forward and came to an abrupt stop. There, stuck in the thick mud, was a lion cub. It looked exhausted, barely able to move. Its body was soaked, caked in mud, and its head hung low. It let out only faint groans, its breathing shallow. The mother lion let out a soft, urgent groan. She looked at her cub, then at the rangers, pleading for help. Without hesitation, one ranger took off his shoes, wrapped a rope around himself, and slowly waded into the mud. He gently lifted the cub's head above the surface, careful not to let it sink further. Meanwhile, John and the other ranger prepared clean towels, drinking water, and a blanket to warm the cub once it was out. It took effort, but finally the ranger managed to lift the cub's limp, muddy body and carry it back to shore. All three of them worked quickly to clean it off, dry its fur, and check its breathing. The mother lion stood close the entire time, licking her cub's face, letting out soft moans, and nuzzling the ranger gently, as if in gratitude. The cub opened its eyes, just a little, then let its head fall again. It hadn't recovered. Not yet. The ranger decided they needed to get the cub to the medical center. Immediately, John carefully lifted the cub in his arms. It felt heartbreakingly light and fragile. The lioness didn't protest. She simply walked beside them, never once taking her eyes off her baby. They retraced their steps back to the camp. This time, there was no talk, no sound, except the quiet steps of people and lion walking together, hoping they weren't too late. In the days that followed, the Thompson family remained in the reserve, their experience having shifted from a simple vacation to something far more meaningful. Each morning, Ellie would ask to visit the veterinary center or help feed some of the younger animals. The staff, touched by her curiosity and kind spirit, gave her small tasks, refilling water bowls, organizing towels, and learning how to observe animal behavior from a safe distance. Laura, inspired by the emotional bond she witnessed between the mother lion and her cub, began documenting their experiences in a journal she planned to turn into a photo essay back home. She captured every moment. Ellie laughing with the rangers, John quietly observing animals through binoculars, and even the changing sky over the savannah at dusk. John, once a corporate manager who rarely disconnected from his phone, found himself waking up early just to walk along the edge of the forest in silence. He felt a growing sense of peace and connection, not just to nature, but to his own family. For the first time in years, he was truly present. And it was that lioness, mud-streaked, desperate, and brave, that had opened the door to this transformation. On their final night at Finda, the rangers invited the Thompsons to a traditional dinner under the stars. There was singing, dancing, and laughter as stories were shared around the fire. One ranger spoke up, smiling warmly at the family. "Sometimes the animals choose you. I think that lioness knew exactly where to go." Ellie sat between her parents, her eyes wide with wonder, her small hands wrapped around a carved wooden lioness the staff had gifted her. It had her name etched into the bottom, Ellie the Brave. As the fire crackled and stars lit the sky, John turned to Laura. "This trip, it wasn't just about seeing wild animals. It was about discovering who we are, what really matters. I think we found something here we didn't even know we were looking for." Laura nodded, wiping a quiet tear from her cheek. "And I think we're going to carry it with us forever." The next morning, they packed their bags with a mixture of excitement and melancholy. Ellie said goodbye to each staff member with a hug and a promise to return one day. As their vehicle drove away from the reserve, she turned back for one last glimpse of the place where her heart had changed. The lioness and her cub were never seen up close again during the remainder of the trip, but rangers reported spotting them together on the far edges of the territory, healthy and thriving, a symbol of survival, of trust, and of the invisible bond that had brought two species together, if only for a fleeting but unforgettable moment. Back in Santa Fe, the Thompsons shared their story with neighbors, schools, and even local wildlife organizations. Their photos and videos went viral, inspiring countless families to look at wildlife conservation not just as a cause, but as a deeply human experience. And little Ellie, she kept the carved lioness by her bedside. Every night before going to sleep, she'd whisper, "Good night, Mama Lion. Thank you for finding us." Thank you, dear viewers, for staying with us through this heartfelt journey. If this story touched your heart, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel. There are many more real-life stories of human-animal bonds that will inspire you. Until next time, stay curious, stay kind, and remember, sometimes the wild finds you,